Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone. Get ready to dive into another spine-chilling tale where art, history, and horror collide. In today's story, we take you back to Renaissance Florence, a city of beauty, genius, and an unthinkable nightmare, when a mysterious plague turns the streets of Florence into a battleground against the undead. An artist and a scholar must face unimaginable horrors to uncover the truth behind an ancient curse. Will they survive, or will the secrets of the past consume them? If you love gripping zombie stories with thrilling twists and suspenseful turns, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss an exciting story. Share this tale with your friends who love a good scare, and help us grow our community of zombie enthusiasts. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think of the story, and how we can make our content even better for you. Your feedback keeps us going, and your support means the world to us. Now, let's step into the shadows of Florence and uncover the chilling truth in zombie plague in the Renaissance.
Every story's a thrill. Come and let your courage show. Fight or flight, we'll unite as the horror unfolds in the zombie.
The year was 1523, and Florence stood as a beacon of the Renaissance, a city teeming with artistry, intellect, and ambition. Every day, painters immortalized beauty on canvas, and scholars argued philosophy in candlelit halls. Yet beneath this vibrant facade, whispers of an unspeakable terror began to spread. Isabella Rossi, a young artist apprentice to the great Michelangelo, dismissed the rumors. She spent her days immersed in her work, crafting sketches and perfecting techniques in a modest studio she shared with her brother, Tommaso. That evening, Tommaso returned late, his face ashen. He burst through the door and bolted it behind him. "Isabella," he rasped, his voice trembling. The Piazza della Signoria. A man tore into another's throat. "I saw it," his eyes red as fire. "Don't speak such nonsense," Isabella said, though her hands trembled as she reached for him. "It's no plague," Tommaso insisted, gripping her arm. "It's a curse. The dead walk among us." Isabella dismissed his words as fevered ramblings. But that night, as she sketched by candlelight, she couldn't shake the image of glowing eyes and the dread in her brother's voice. The next morning, Isabella ventured out to gather supplies. The bustling streets of Florence were strangely subdued. Merchants packed their wares with anxious haste, and whispers followed her as she walked past the Duomo. As she turned a corner near the market square, she froze. A man staggered into view, his fine robes blooded and torn. He stumbled toward her, his face pale, his mouth contorted into a grotesque snarl. "Signore!" Isabella called out hesitantly. The man lifted his head, revealing eyes that glowed a sickly red. He lunged. Isabella screamed and stumbled backward, her sketchbook falling to the ground. Before the creature could reach her, a hand grabbed her arm and yanked her to safety. She turned to find herself staring into the intense gaze of Lorenzo Vecchi, a brooding scholar known for his obsession with ancient texts. In his other hand, he clutched a dagger slick with blood. "Run," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Together, they fled through Florence's labyrinthine alleys, the creature's snarls fading behind them. They didn't stop until they reached Lorenzo's study, a cluttered room filled with scrolls, manuscripts, and the faint scent of ink and parchment. "That wasn't a man," Lorenzo said grimly. "That was one of the infected." In the days that followed, Isabella and Lorenzo formed a tense alliance. Lorenzo combed through his collection of ancient manuscripts, searching for answers, while Isabella used her artistic skill to document what they encountered. Her sketches captured the grotesque features of the undead: glowing eyes, blackened veins, twisted expressions. "It's not just a disease," Lorenzo explained one evening, his face illuminated by the flickering firelight. "This plague is rooted in something far older, an ancient curse." Despite the horrors they faced, Isabella couldn't help but feel drawn to Lorenzo. His intensity and determination were infuriating, yet compelling. And as their partnership deepened, so did the unspoken connection between them. One night, Lorenzo burst into the studio, clutching a worn manuscript. "I found it," he said, his voice triumphant. "The source of the plague." He laid the manuscript on the table, revealing an illustration of a grotesque sculpture, a man twisted in agony, his face frozen in a scream. "This," Lorenzo said, pointing to the image, "is the origin. It's a cursed artifact, carved centuries ago by a sculptor who sought to cheat death. He infused his soul into it, but the result was this plague." Isabella stared at the drawing, horrified yet mesmerized. "A sculpture caused all this?" "Yes," Lorenzo replied, "and it's hidden in the catacombs beneath Florence. If we destroy it, we can end this nightmare." As they prepared to descend into the catacombs, Isabella wrestled with a storm of emotions. Art, the thing she loved most, had become a harbinger of death. The catacombs beneath Florence were a labyrinth of shadow and decay. Armed with torches and daggers, Isabella and Lorenzo pressed forward. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper, the silence broken only by the distant echoes of snarls and groans. They fought off undead creatures that emerged from the darkness, their survival dependent on quick reflexes and unspoken trust. Finally, they entered a chamber bathed in an eerie green light. At its center stood the cursed sculpture. Its grotesque form exuded malice, and its hollow eyes seemed to watch them. "This is it," Lorenzo whispered. As he approached, the sculpture's glow intensified. The chamber trembled, and the snarls of the undead grew louder, echoing through the catacombs. Lorenzo raised his blade and struck the sculpture. A surge of energy erupted, knocking them both to the ground. The undead froze, their glowing eyes dimming. "It's over," Isabella gasped, tears streaming down her face. But as she helped Lorenzo to his feet, she noticed the sculpture's cracks beginning to heal. "No," Lorenzo said, his voice heavy with realization. "The curse isn't broken. The sculpture needs a soul to remain dormant." "What are you saying?" Isabella demanded. Lorenzo turned to her, his eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and resolve. "It has to be me. If I give my soul, the curse will end." "No," Isabella cried, grabbing his arm. "There must be another way." "There isn't," Lorenzo said gently. "You said art is eternal. Let me become something eternal." Before she could stop him, Lorenzo stepped toward the sculpture and touched it. His body stiffened and his eyes glowed briefly before the sculpture fell silent, its green light extinguished. Isabella returned to the surface alone, her heart shattered. The undead had vanished, and Florence began to heal. But the city's light seemed dimmer without Lorenzo's presence. She threw herself into her art, channeling her grief into her work. Her paintings took on a darker tone, capturing the horror she had witnessed and the sacrifice Lorenzo had made. Years later, while walking through a gallery, Isabella froze before a new piece of sculpture of a man in torment. It was unmistakably Lorenzo, his face frozen in a scream. Her heart raced as she stared at it, and for the briefest moment, the sculpture's eyes glowed green. The curse, she realized, was not broken. It had merely changed.